Let's Talk Love is a channel dedicated to dealing with family problems, national issues, and which, in our opinion, arise in situations where love is not steady or is absent. Today, as I welcome you to this program again once more and ask you to subscribe so that we may grow, being a young channel. Today, as I welcome you, I want us to look at marriage, at love, and at the promise of for good or for bad. I want to say this, that although during marriage vows we say it will be for good or for bad, although in relationships, whether formal or informal, it is supposed to be for good or for bad, oftentimes we focus on the good. And somehow, when two people enter into a relationship, let's say there's love. Let's even say there's a lot of love. Let's say they are both genuine. It is more often the case than not. One, they focus on the good. For good. And number two, we rarely imagine that the bad could come knocking. And that's why certain situations arise and many of us get caught off guard, whether we are affected or whether we are the people implicated. I'm going to talk about really life situations. Something, as I record this, my family is currently going through. Without the details, let me just say this. Young people today get married. You can call marriage. A good number of these marriages are not formal in any way. A marriage may be formalized through church wedding, through a Muslim wedding, through the civil registration, the ones we used to call DC, at the registrar of marriages. A marriage may also be made formal through customary practices, through customary law, where there must be some form of evidence that you have visited the girl's parents, certain rites have been performed, certain ceremonies have been performed, or you've gone through certain ceremonies. Sometimes certain payment, if you want to call it payment, you can call it dowry, you can call it whatever you want to call it. That gives you a marriage that we can call formal. But it's unfortunate that a majority of the so-called marriages in this country are not formal. The new constitution and the subsequent legislation demands of us that we make sure that all our marriages have been formalized in one way or the other. Now, where am I coming from and where am I going? I have said it is not true, though we think it is so, that life will always be good. Bad things do happen. Fate puts things on our table, in our homes, in our houses. What happens in instances where a lady dies and there was no formal marriage, no recognized marriage? This is one of those bad things that we are never prepared for. Because what then happens is you put two families almost in conflict, especially in the western part of this country and in many parts of the country, where the parents of the girl say, you never had married our daughter, and therefore you cannot bury your daughter, your wife. To us, she's not your wife. This was just your friend. Even if you had children, you are just friends. People can be friends and get children. So the tussle that then ensues about where the girl should be buried, is ugly, is costly, it's emotionally draining. Here you are, you've lost your wife. But people are making it difficult. Beyond mourning your wife, you must fight a war to be allowed to bury your loved wife. These things go to court, protracted. The purpose of this particular episode, this particular video, is try and help our young people. That once you've entered into a relationship with a young man or a young girl, and you think this relationship, the love is strong enough to lead you into a more permanent union. Because I want to imagine you are not going to stay with another man, with a man or with a woman in one house, even getting children, and you haven't made up your mind about your relationship. So I want to think that we fail to formalize our marriages to save ourselves from these eventualities because, first of all, we think it is always for good. But you have been told for good or for worse. And life itself also operates that way. Things are not always what we want them to be like. Ugly parts come up. There is death. So that's the one thing I'm saying. The second thing I'm saying is that love is not enough for you to stand in terms of adversity sometimes. You need to take certain steps, practical steps, so that love may blossom and a marriage may be a marriage, so that in terms of adversity, in times of, say, death, you can mourn your spouse and not have to deal with other things. And therefore, to young men and young women, you are mature enough to know that that is no longer a boyfriend. You stop living in your own house and move into his house and get a child and you still call him your boyfriend. It's not your boyfriend. A boyfriend, yes, but a husband now. You take somebody's daughter, bring her to your house, get children. She has become your wife. My plea today to young people and to parents, I'm talking to that lady. You've been visiting your daughter for the last 5 years. When she gives birth, you go and do the traditional thing or whatever you are doing. You go and see your son-in-law, you call him your son-in-law in the office. They give you bus fare. They send you money for Christmas. But you've not cared to tell your daughter to sit down with a man and sort of formalize that relationship. The same you will deny that boy should your daughter die. God forbid. You, man, you have failed to encourage your son. You know he's staying with somebody's daughter. They even visit your home over Christmas or something like that. But you have not taken any initiative to advise your son, even to push him, because young people sometimes require a little pushing. That this is somebody's daughter. In traditional society, times, like even when I was growing up, when a boy brings a somebody's daughter in your compound. You see the girl has not left the following day. The third day she's still there. After a couple of days, among my people, there is a ceremony where the mother of the boy or young or sisters, they visit the home of the girl to tell them, look here, in our compound, our son or our brother has brought a girl, and we are made to believe she comes from this home. We have come to inform you that your daughter is not lost. And therefore, my advice to young people and to parents, let us try, whenever we think there is a marriage in place, kind of making it formal in one way or the other. Indeed, I discourage people from expensive weddings. Expensive weddings and pre-weddings are what stops people from formalizing their marriages. You keep dreaming that you are going to have that wonderful ratio where in your compound there will be 200 cars. That your wedding will be that exclusive wedding. The sort of weddings that are now locking out parents. No, a wedding ought to be as simple as possible. In fact, churches discourage people. You may not be as simple as Muslims in terms of just a simple union, a sheikh pronouncing you as man and wife or imam. But even if it's somehow elaborate, Christian, put it within your reach. And even if you think you want to wait for that wonderful moment, when you'll have enough resources, it is still okay. But what stops you from formally visiting the family of your spouse, of your girlfriend, and telling them, I have your daughter and have the intention to marry her, and they tell you, yes, welcome, that as a customary practice, we can start the process, and the process need not be expensive. But at the end of the day, what you are doing, you are formalizing. Or if you really want to wait until you have enough money for a big wedding, why don't you go to the registrar of marriages? Get your marriage registered. Nothing will stop you from having a serious wedding. But with your certificate, sanctioning your marriage and making it official and formal. Because life doesn't always work with our dictates. Life is not always what we want it to be. And things aren't always what they look like. So that in that sad event that you've lost your wife, can you have the peace of mind to give her befitting send-off? Can you send your wife to rest? Can you bring everything to closure and remain with the children and take care of them? Instead of having to address all manner of issues, including going to court. And therefore, in this, as in many other things that I'll bring to fore, do not think love is enough. Love must stand on something, on some substance. There are certain practical steps you need to take to support the love. Thank you very much, and please subscribe. If you have not subscribed to this channel, Let's Talk Love, please do. If you have, share the content, share the videos, and pass word around to friends, family, that here is a channel they need to subscribe to, because we hold conversations that can make our relationship work and blossom because of love. Thank you.
One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. Hear the children